Hello and welcome to Slash Dupe, the mysterious movie pitching podcast with a twist. Each member of today's podcast has been given the same movie or TV title, some time to prepare, and has come to the table to pitch their own unique take on that title. We'll be hearing 2 pitches before the break and 1 afterwards. After the break, we'll be hearing a special pitch from the Dupe. The Dupe is the one person at the table who has not been given the title in advance and will have to improvise their idea at the end of the show, following everybody else's. Our Dupe today is Ryan. Ryan, how are you feeling about being the Dupe?
Really good. I went shopping earlier and bought 2 kilos of dumplings, frozen dumplings, and ate about 15 before this. So I'm really full of happy tummy dumplings.
So even if you do badly at the title today, you're full of dumplings. No one can take that away from you.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a title picked since episode 1, so I might as well take some kind of winning in this with tummy full of dumplings. That's
probably something everybody should know.
That's a title, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Tummy full of dumplings.
Just thinking the same thing, yeah.
That leads me to say, Dan, the voices you hear are Dan and Anthony. Dan, you're our regular and our co-host. How are you feeling about today's title? Because you have the title.
I am regular, and I am again feeling Schrodinger's readiness.
Okay.
I am both ready and not ready, but in the last 3 minutes, I've had an absolute change of heart, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
Wow. So in the last 3 minutes, was that the look on your face I noticed? Was it was you coming up with a good idea?
It was like, why just put those together? Like that bit in Family Guy where it's like the chocolate and the peanut butter and it's like came together, the Reese's Pieces.
I'm very excited. And we haven't talked about who's going to go first between yourself and our guest today, Anthony. Anthony, how are you feeling about the title today? Obviously, don't give it away for Ryan, who doesn't know it, but how are you feeling about it?
Do you know what?
Isn't it? It's an interesting one.
I don't know whether it was the heat wave, but I don't think I've sweated so much in a while. It's quite a difficult thing, because there's so many things running through your head and you don't know which to pick out. So
sure.
I've got a few, maybe 4. But yeah, I've got one which I'm quite happy with. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for inviting me as well.
Yeah, no problem. No, we're happy to have you. We might not be happy after we hear your idea. Who knows? It depends how good it is. But we're happy to have you. Give us your primary idea, your main one, the one that if you were forced to sell one of these ideas, you'd go for it. And then at the end of the episode, after we've heard Ryan's, maybe you'll want to dip in and give us some teasers to the
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Well, we should hear him first, shouldn't we? That's just made me excited about it. Anthony, you can go first.
Oh, well, okay. Added pressure, more sweating. Lovely. So, I know the title of the podcast, but I actually have no idea what a slash dupe actually is. So, Sean, would you mind telling me?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Anthony. A slash dupe is a rough early version of a film used in post-production. It's a synonym for work print. It's an unfinished foundation of what a finished film can become. So that's what we try and bring to you, the audience at home, in slash dupe. Something that is the very essence of a film. The bones, the structure, the early essence of a film. And that's at least what we'll bring the audience today. At least one slash dupe is my promise.
Okay, well, I think I've got one of those.
Well, so I think now's the time to reveal the title of today's episode. Today's slash dupe is Merry Hell. Merry Hell is our slash dupe. So, Anthony, you were going to give us your primary idea for Merry Hell.
Yes, but before I kick off, I do have a quick question regarding the rules of your podcast. Now, I had a lot of time to think about this, and are we allowed to include punctuation in the title, i.e. a comma or a question mark or even an exclamation mark?
Well, it's funny because you use the word rules, and I think that there basically aren't any.
Oh, lovely.
So we don't, or at least if there are, we change them between episode and episode. But I think that's primarily because what we really want to champion is creative freedom. So if you have to alter the title in any way to make your pitch work, I think that's more than acceptable and a little bit exciting as well.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to wait for the punctuation for the later ones, but let's kick off. Okay, Merry Hell.
Okay.
So picture B-movie slasher. Yes, handheld camera, almost like the Blair Witch Project. Hard cuts about a demonic Santa Claus who has his, in inverted commas, a version of a naughty list where he actually kidnaps and kills children and wraps them up and delivers them back to their parents.
Ooh, that's good.
Very sadistic, I know. Very sadistic. However, I would the Santa Claus has to either be played by Brian Blessed, yeah, or Nicolas Cage. Either or, you know.
Oh,
I just think
they're very different, aren't they? Yeah, you get two different tones. They share a commonality, right? But
Exactly.
There would be two different movies, right? With each actor.
Exactly. The thing about people say to me that Brian Blessed isn't a creepy man, but if you walked into a dark room and Brian Blessed was sat in there laughing by himself, you would be creeped out. Right?
Oh, undoubtedly. Yeah.
So we would open in sort of like I don't know why, but all films have to happen in America nowadays, but we would open in like some sort of rural Midwest kind of suburb, and I would actually have someone really famous, like Ariana Grande, for the first person to be murdered, right? So she's in it for all of 5 minutes. So that's how cheesy and B-movie we're going to go with it. And then essentially what happens is the kids start to realise that their brothers and sisters are kind of being taken by this demonic Santa Claus, and make it their mission to kind of Home Alone style trap this Santa Claus.
Yeah.
You know, try and kill this Santa. You know, like basically It, but with a guy in a red suit and a big beard. Now I'm thinking. I think it has to be Brian Blessed.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Cage would bring a different energy to it, but I don't think, and I genuinely mean this, he doesn't bring the same menace that Brian Blessed would bring. Right?
I believe you. I believe
lurking.
you. I think Brian Blessed's footsteps in the corridor would bring more of a shiver than Nicolas Cage for sure.
I think so.
But I just feel every film needs at least 5 minutes of Nicolas Cage.
I think Nicolas Cage should be in it. So totally
Yeah,
should be.
definitely.
Maybe he could be one of the parents, or one of the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, he's versatile like that, isn't he? Yeah.
Definitely. So that was the first one that I woke up screaming to after you sent me that title. I haven't really. I think thinking about Brian Blessed murdering children is a bit of a. It's a tough pit.
Well, there's something.
That's how you walk
about-
into the producer's office with. That's your elevator pitch, isn't it?
Exactly.
Listen, Brian Blessed murdering children.
There's something about his voice as well, that like the idea of it almost, being like a megaphone and just like this impending doom as these kids are running around and they don't know where it's coming from because it just echoes everywhere.
Exactly. You've got to right children sort of thing going on.
Yeah. And the levity at which he sort of puts across with that voice is frightening, right? Like if he's chasing you, but he's sounding like he's enjoying it, that's more frightening than if do you know what I mean? Like,
Gordon's alive.
So is he a mall Santa that by day and then murderer by night?
No, so this is set in a world where Santa Claus isn't a nice guy. So there isn't such a thing as a mall Santa. This has been going on for ages, and people didn't really make the connection. They thought there were just sort of like copycat killers and serial killers out there who were adopting this wrapping up of children. Wow, even me saying it is giving me.
Listen, it's such a brilliant idea. Delivering them back to their parents as almost like a punishment to the parents for raising.
Such a bad. See, you get it. You get it. You can come on board.
I'm already on board. I've already stolen it.
Yeah.
So in this world, Santa is real. but he's evil, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
It's not okay.
Exactly.
Right.
So they don't believe that Santa Claus delivers the presents and that sort of thing. Christmas is just sort of like a materialistic idea. However, there's legend. You know, there could be a scene in the film where the kids are in the library and they find this really old dusty book, and they open the dusty book and there's a picture of a guy in a red suit, but it drawn in like Mayan-esque kind of, right? You know, this guy's been around for thousands of years, some sort of like deep legend, myth and legend that you know, and even imagine the sadistic nature of Brian Blessed's Jingle Bells would just be such an added bonus.
Can I?
Yeah.
And it gets to number one as well, obviously.
Oh, completely.
You know, in real life, it would go number one.
Oh, completely.
I think as well. I've already got sequels figured out for you already, right? If you're saying that this killer has been around in many different variations, then you have like whatever your sequel film would be like the same killer, but it's like Eid, and it happens twice in a year, you know? and then you can spin off to all the different like religious gift giving holidays.
I don't
films.
know whether those films would be boycotted or not.
Would Brian Blessed play the character in each of them as well? And then, that's the worry.
Then we're regressing, aren't we? We're going all the way back where Brian Blessed plays, you know, an imam.
That's Nicolas Cage playing Brian Blessed. That's what he does.
And he would love that as a challenge as an actor, wouldn't he? He'd love that. That would be the hook to get him in.
It's a direct sequel to Face Off. You know.
You had me. You had me there. You got me. God, that's fantastic. This sort of film, and we had in our first heats after we did 6 episodes. I think that one of the things that got our Ben Scriven, our adjudicator, what really wet his whistle, I think, was that when the pitch was pitched by Becky initially, he could see the poster. That was the thing that got him. And I feel like this needs a poster, or has the capacity to have a poster that does the same.
Right.
That everything you need is in this poster.
Right. So, to me, it would be obviously our main man, Brian Blessed, front and center, with a bloody present. Just imagine like just sort of a normal cube-shaped box, wrapping paper and everything, but blood dripping out of the bottom of it. And definitely Rudolph the Red-Eyed Reindeer.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and you know that and he wouldn't ride around on like the typical sleigh. It would be heavy metal sleigh. We're talking steampunk-esque with loads of smoke coming out of it. And
is it spelled SLAY?
Oh.
Of course
it has to be.
Of course it is.
Or that's what its number plate is.
Yeah.
Exactly. The number plate. I mean, I hate it, Anthony, but it has to be done. It has to be.
What? This film
Give
is
the
probably
people
going
what
to
they
be.
want.
I feel like I don't want to step on it, but I feel like I've got the trailer. I've got the teaser trailer. I think I've got the teaser trailer, right? Imagine like suburban America, white snow, nighttime. You hear the jingle bells. You see you see the silhouette of Santa walking up to a house, pops a present down, rings the doorbell, and you see his shadow as he walks away, and then blood just trickles out from the box, and that's it. Cut.
I love that idea. It has to have Brian Blessed's
laugh
Yes.
over the winter 2020. You know that's
Have you made the naughty list? That's it.
See, I've got in-ear headphones, and that was quite something.
Yeah, for everyone at home listening to this on headphones, they've just had goosebumps. All of them. That's the reverse ASMR. So can I? Okay, hear me out. Now I can have this idea shot down, Anthony. I can. I'm okay with it. But can his weapon of choice to kill the children? Can it be a hoe? Like is that? Am I going too far? Am I leaning into it too much?
As long as there's tinsel wrapped around the handle,
and it looks like a candy cane.
There we go. See
that you get at Christmas, right? That you hang on a tree. I mean, you just can't not have him say ho 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 as he's smashing someone in with it.
That's it. It's like,
if it was Nicolas Cage, take the hoe away. But it's Brian Blessed.
It's Brian Blessed. I'm never going to look at this guy in the same way.
Have we tiptoed into Scream area now with this. So we've moved away from Blair Witch, which is genuinely scary, to Scream, which is genuinely scary but utter satire. Because it feels like as we move there, and also with the killing of children, do you want to go to the satire of it rather than the horrificness of? I mean, I don't mind either way, but
I think we would have to lean into the satire, actually, now you've said that, because Hollywood doesn't necessarily enjoy putting the killing of children on screen. So, yes, I think we have actually, we have leaned into satire quite a lot, actually. As the idea has grown, the identity of the film has slightly shifted, which I'm more than happy with. I laid the bones and you guys built the house, so...
It's if your kid...
That's the
tagline. That's the tagline.
That's such a horrible idea. The bones of naughty children. I don't want to be responsible for this, Anthony. No, take it back.
So how does the film resolve itself? Like, how do the kids vanish, or do they not? So
I'm picturing a very sort of finale of Stranger Things 1 kind of vibe, where they've set up the house to have loads of traps, including like a bear trap and that sort of thing, and they're running away from Santa, and they're running away from Brian, and they have to sort of duck into bedrooms and that sort of thing, and they've set up bear traps and swinging paint cans and all the childhood movie tropes that you can think of to trap a villain inside the house. And then they would get him on because all the way through this movie, parents don't believe them, police don't believe them, laugh them out of the police station, and it would actually culminate in them wrapping him in a chair in fairy lights, coloured fairy lights, and he would be having this sort of monologue about how they could never keep him there and all this sort of thing. They call the police, they think they've got the proof, police turn up, gone. And he's not actually there.
Just a lump of coal.
Just a bloody lump of coal.
A bloody lump of coal, yeah.
Yeah, and some sadistic jingle bells. But then we would have a pan out of the house, and there would be footprints in the snow away from a window or away from a door or something, just to kind of...
Or away from a chimney, on the roof.
It's got to be away from a chimney, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Brian Blessed climbing up a chimney. I don't know.
That's the magic of it, isn't it? Like, and it would be like a really small chimney, but somehow.
Yeah.
It'd be one of those old sort of Victorian fireplaces that you see in all these houses now, all these detached houses, like really small, and Brian Blessed just squeezing himself into it like a sausage.
But there's something horrible about like imagine, a child trying to escape and trying to climb up a chimney, or trying to escape and get stuck in a chimney, and there's Brian Blessed just slowly coming down. Like there's a lot of horror around Christmas that I think hasn't been explored in with our twisted minds.
Santa Claus is an old guy that while you're sleeping and without your parents' knowledge creeps into your room, decides whether you're good or bad, and leaves you a present. And you feed him in return.
That's
Your parents are complicit in that.
Yeah.
And you can lean into like them having a conversation, a Stranger Things type conversation about like, well, what works, what doesn't work. Why do people leave milk out for him? Why cookies? What does Rudolph eat? Like, so you can play off of these tropes while they're like the garlic and sunlight for vampires.
I agree. So, but because in the universe, Santa doesn't exist, so no one's leaving out cookies and that sort of thing. But maybe I find out that he's actually really badly allergic to milk. So so they're throwing stuff at him from out of the fridge. They throw carrots at him and he just bats it away. They throw cookies at him and he just eats it. And then the guy just throws a carton of milk at him and it goes slow-mo as it goes through the air and crashes on his face. And he's just going, "Oh no,
it burns!
It burns!" Sizzling under the whole fat milk. You know, it has to be whole fat though.
Yeah,
Semi
of
skim
course it
doesn't work.
does.
Yeah, it's all in the pasteurization or lack
And
of
why,
it.
exactly. And why? Why is he allergic to milk? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't. This is Brian Blessed we're talking about. It doesn't-
Or in the sequel, maybe there's a flashback. It starts with that incident, the milk incident.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
Or something.
Yeah, I can see it now. I can see this having 3, 4, or 5 films.
And so, off the back of that, there are two questions off the back of that. Then, one would be how well is it received, and is it received in the nature of it, of how it's supposed to? And the second question would be where, in this film or in another film, does Mrs. Claus, and how does Mrs. Claus materialise in your universe?
Do you know what? I did have a think about a Mrs. Claus, right? But I think if we have in the first one just Brian Blessed as Santa Claus and a Mrs. Claus, it detracts from having that main villain.
100%.
However, in maybe 2 or 3, or even later on when he needs that accomplice, maybe he's been too badly scolded by Milk, and Mrs. Claus turns up with evil elves.
Yeah.
And that sort of
Nicolas Cage.
I did have a think about that. And then, what was your other question?
Well, so first of all, I just want to say that's a fantastic idea, dividing it, because then you get more material out of it. So then you've got a Mrs. Claus, as his accomplice in one of them. You can maybe have Mrs. Claus is back and she wants a divorce, and it's like a Claus versus Claus. So you have, and then like in this small town, they're fighting still, the two of them.
Love it.
And like and trying to out murder each other. That's one of the slasher film entries. Sort of Freddy versus Jason, but they're trying to get the tally up. In fact, they'll be trying to. I hope you don't mind me riffing off of this, but they'll be trying to get the kids to be naughty, secretly influencing them in a sort of
so
that they can then justify they get added to their list.
So then there's an evil elf just sort of with a chalkboard totting up the murders and that sort
exactly.
of
Exactly.
I feel like we've
who would
struck
play
gold.
the evil elf?
Nicolas Cage.
So. Nicolas Cage, yes. Mrs. Claus needs to be. I haven't got a Mrs. Claus, I really haven't, but Nicolas Cage needs to be that elf.
So
dressed in the elf's clothes.
Who was the woman in Who was the woman in Harry Potter? It's not Imelda
Staunton.
Yeah,
I don't think she's got the stature for it. However, I'm thinking the Trunchbull from Matilda.
He is nightmare inspiring, definitely.
Because she was also in Harry Potter. She was the aunt that Harry actually. She's like the Dursley sister, who when she inflates and floats off into the sky.
Oh,
that's
course,
actually. I don't know the actress's name, unfortunately, but that's the Trunchbull as well.
I'll find it and add it to the list, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call, man. So then the other thing I was going to ask was, how is it received? How does it go over the way it's intended? Does it get a cult following? Is it a smash hit? How does it...
I don't see this making Fast and Furious money, let's say that. Right. I feel like this has got to be... It's going to be a cult film, but I feel like it's got a digital release on something like Shudder. The new Amazon platform that's completely devoted to horror. However, if we can get Neil Blumhouse involved, I can see us making a lot of money on this. And also, with Blumhouse comes Jordan Peele. So, 2 excellent producers. This could take this to new heights. However, I'd like to keep it as cult as possible. So you could imagine it having sort of midnight screenings at the Prince Charles Theatre in Leicester Square, where people were chucking rocks, like lumps of coal at the screen and that sort of thing.
Of course they are.
Yeah,
Someone splashing them with milk on the way out.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Completely.
And they're all doing the catchphrase in his voice. It burns. And they're all
And then one screening he'll be there.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And he just turns up at the end. Ho, ho, ho! Like behind him and shits himself.
I love it. I think we've got something here, guys. I think we need to contact Brian Blessed immediately.
Yes, let's just leave out all of the stuff where we slated him. But I do think that he's perfect. Yeah.
I think anything to get him back on the screen. He's climbed enough mountains and put that on BBC, and it's time for him to go into cinema. So
that was a fantastic idea for Merry Hell. Anthony. Thank you very much. Looking forward to hearing Dan's idea now. Dan, where does it fall on the scale? Similar, different, Christmas themed?
Well,
how are we going?
There's a little crossover. and you'll see what I mean. At least Anthony said something, and I was like, "Oh no, this could be my pitch." God, same as before. Like, there's a little crossover. Merry Hell is Christmas, right? Isn't it? Of course, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
And when you think of Christmas, what 3 films do you think of?
Die Hard.
Muppets Christmas Carol, Die Hard, and Home Alone. It's Home Alone, isn't it?
Ah, okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Merry Hell is produced and directed by Macaulay Culkin, who stars in it.
Yeah.
And it's the sequel to all the sequels of Home Alone, set at their age now.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's been years since they've all gone their separate ways, all the cousins, all the older brothers, they live all around. And Dad has died, because he has in real life, John Hearn, R.I.P. And they decide, in his honour, they'll take a trip to France, which they never got to do. Instead of Paris, it's too busy. They'll go to some chateau in the middle of France, and they'll get a massive, like, castle-like chateau, and all hang out there as a family to raise a glass to Dad and celebrate Christmas the proper way. Everyone's in the airport, and it's all getting busy, and Kevin goes off for a beer, and like you're almost certain that's it, he's going to be left at home again, but he doesn't. He gets on the plane. Everyone's on the plane. It's gone really, really well. They all fly off to France, and they go to the chateau, and they're having a lovely time, and things, people are pulling ahead, doing nuggies, like absolute Easter egg flashbacks to Home Alone. And they all reminisce and think about how nice it would have been for Dad to have been there, and how nice it was that Kevin managed to finally make it. Ha 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 ha. And they all go to bed. In the middle of the night, there is a blood-curdling scream. Mum is dead at the bottom of the stairs. A paint can has caved her skull in.
Oh.
Boomf. And it turns really dark at this point, and what happens is, throughout, they try, like, maybe it looks like it's a whodunit, but over time, each one of the family members dies horrifically in bizarre ways that are absolutely linked to all the booby traps that Kevin did in Home Alone. And they're like, it's only like 3 or 4 in that Kevin realises this is what's happening. Everyone starts to blame and think it's Kevin, because obviously he's the booby trap central, right? And they haven't seen each other in ages. Kevin's like an alcoholic. I'm not sure how close we can get to that, but he's an alcoholic. He's glad he's there, but he's started to, all the chat about him never making it and stuff. He's been getting resentful, and people start dying. And one by one, they all get picked off. And then out in the field, they see a glimpse of something. And it eventually transpires that the 2 burglars, or in fact only one of the burglars, because the other one's not made it either, only one of the burglars made it back, and you think it's him picking off all of Kevin's family one by one. He even leaves a note through the letterbox, which is electrified, so when someone goes to get it, they die.
Of course.
And he said, it's like, I'm leaving you till last. And so it goes on and on and on, and eventually there's this final sort of battle between Kevin, who he's too old, he doesn't know how to do booby traps, and he's just avoiding booby traps as his family die left, right and centre. Finally gets down 1-to-1 with this criminal, and he says, it's not me, I've been trying to help, I've been trying to save you. And just as that, like, he dies from something, some kind of tack on the floor, he falls down the stairs or whatever, a blowtorch blows off the top of his head or something, he's melted his head or something. And just as he finishes, like the final twist, you turn around and there is what was the guy
with the shovel when the rain
Marley, old man Marley,
yeah.
who was suspected serial killer, but they turned out it wasn't. It's him, and he says, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And kills him. Blackout.
Good.
Love it.
Man.
Nice.
All right.
Love it.
Merry hell.
I'm gonna listen.
I've got-
Oh, go on, Ryan. Go on, mate.
I was going to say the one thing I thought, you know, as you said, you see them in the field. It should be like the coats and the hat and everything
Yeah.
like that. And then when he runs up to them, it's like a scarecrow.
Love
and
it.
it's just that jacket of the two guys.
Yeah. Love it.
I have to say, I was very pleased with the inclusion of the filthy animal quote. That was going to be
Yes.
one of my questions.
You
Are we
had
going
to
to have
be
that
it,
in the
right?
film?
Yeah.
Has to
Got to
be.
end with that.
Has to be. My only question is, how old is this guy now? Because if he was,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
That's such a good point as well.
The actor who's played him is sadly dead as well. So it'd have to be a guy that kind of looked like him. Unless we're going to go for some like deep fakes, we could have Dad's the whole point of meeting up his dad, but we could have the two criminals, but still have sort of a deep fake if we wanted.
That's what they would do, isn't it? But in poor taste, they would bring one of them back,
yeah.
CG him like Grand Moff Tarkin.
Oh,
wouldn't
hang
they?
on. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern are both alive.
Oh,
Aren't
Yeah,
Daniel
I
Stern's
was gonna
alive, is he?
say,
That's the only
Joe-
person. Yeah.
they? So they can both be. There's two criminals, and you know they're fine enough. Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of walking sticks on this set, isn't there?
yeah, absolutely. Well, you know they did it in The Irishman, so it's fine. They can youth them up a little, couldn't they?
Could Kevin have children of his own? In some would that be something?
I
That's
think we
happened?
need to. I think just because
Yeah, you want him
we've
to
had
be
it
the
in
focus.
Anthony's one, yeah, and him to be the focus. So I
Yeah.
think, and also that he's really ruined his life.
Yeah.
Like he's destitute. Well, not destitute. But he's an alcoholic. He's really resentful of everything that he did. I think he got messed up. His parents abandoned him how many times? He's going through therapy.
So if I was the studio head taking this idea in, I'd be like, okay, well, it's a fantastic idea. I love it. But I think that there's a way that you can have your cake and eat it, because there is no way that would make a long-lasting Christmas film that people would talk about and they'd want to rewatch. It would make a fantastic sort of indie playoff of, reboot and playoff of the... But I think you can have your cake and eat it. So... And if you've seen The Game, the film The Game, that is the forgotten Michael Douglas film that David Fincher directed, I
Brilliant
believe
film.
it was before. Brilliant film. I
Brilliant
loved
film.
it and didn't see the twist coming, and it's very, twisty-turny, and I absolutely loved it. So you already know where I'm going with this, but if you've seen it. But I think that it's Kevin's... I'm just going to say it like this. It's Kevin's intervention. So what happens is all of the family members are alive, and what they've been doing the whole time, with the help of the robbers and everyone, is having him confront his PTSD and his serious issues that he's been having with the family leaving him so many times. And this whole thing has been staged. The dad maybe was like, "I want this to happen before I die,"
In his
with
will.
Kevin.
Yeah.
So they've done this to try and get Kevin's sort of over his.
They thought get him over his
him
PTSD
straight.
by murdering themselves in front of him.
Listen, somehow it works. I mean, I'm
So
not
messed up,
I'm not the
right?
writing here. I'm
It's
just
so
the
messed
studio
up.
head.
This
Well, it
driving-
could just
Make
be
it
like
work.
it could be like off-screen deaths, like that sort of thing where they'll.
You've got to see the
paint
booby
can.
traps, though. You've got to see the booby traps. So my thinking, and I like that because that could eventually go on and on. But my thinking was that this is a Macaulay Culkin produced and directed. This is his Macaulay Culkin's sort of therapy of getting rid of Home Alone by murdering everyone in it, including himself. It's him divesting
okay.
himself
I see.
of Kevin. And so it's not meant to be a Christmas hit at all. In fact, he might release it at Christmas for the irony of it all, but it's not meant to be a box office hit. I reckon it probably would be. I think it would be a real, well, maybe not a box office hit, but it'd be an absolute sort of cult following. And the Easter eggs would be so, he'd have really thought it out. It'd be really, really specific, far more specific than I can be. But so I like the idea of taking it on a series, but I don't think Macaulay ever wanted it to be a series. He wants it a one and done. Here's me divesting everything. Goodbye, Kevin. Never come back again. Thank you.
Oh wow, I see. So it's not really redemptive. It's more him reconciling with it and killing that part of himself. Interesting.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh man, you never get it made, but it's a great idea.
Do you know what? I don't know. I don't know. I think there would be a studio out there brave enough to bring back Home Alone in whatever form.
Well, if you think about Cobra Kai, and and what that's done, where it's a full Karate Kid canon, and it's fantastic. So if might even be the same studio that did that, so they've got like the reboot.
That was YouTube. That was a YouTube series.
It was YouTube, but it got picked up by Netflix, didn't it? So that's
but in Cobra Kai, did absolutely all of the original cast die unceremoniously murdered?
Did.
Okay.
One of them did, yeah.
R.I.P. Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah. I have a question for Dan regarding what rating do you see this film as?
This is full 18.
Great.
The murders. Whereas we'd seen the PG, because there's that website, isn't there, about all the booby traps that Kevin did would pretty much have killed everyone. Like one of his older brothers or sisters has to get an iron to the face.
Yes.
Like cave their skull and burnt their face off.
As you said, blowtorch. The blowtorch to the head. That's it.
That's
and the
tarantula.
The second one where it's a blowtorch, but it's also gasoline. It blows the entire house up and they walk out. I mean, that's so all of those. And I think it's going to be super gruesome. I think it should show what the booby traps would have done. So the Kevin has to kind of own up to it.
Yeah, a tone.
Here's a question. For a cameo in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, Donald Trump makes an appearance. Will he be making an appearance in this film, do you reckon?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
The president himself has said he will be appearing in the film, but whether he actually will or not, who knows? Yeah.
He tweeted about his involvement. I don't know. Also, it'd be great to have Tim Curry involved as well, wouldn't it? But,
I think that he has to, and excuse my language here, but then it was the president of the United States of America that said this first. I think that he has to be murdered immediately after trying to grab Kevin McAllister's mum by the pussy, is what I'm going to say. And then he gets unceremoniously murdered immediately afterwards.
By the mum for trying.
By the mum. Yeah, this is a completely different film now.
Even better, they film him in it, and then they just cut the scene
completely,
because that would be worse for him, right?
It would,
waste his time. I had a thought when you were saying, so they're all in the airport at the beginning, and he's gone off to get a beer or something. Is he just an alcoholic, or is he, shooting up in the bathroom? Like, what level?
I think we should just stay with alcoholism because we can drive that all the way through. Unless he starts thinking some of these are hallucinations, or whether he's seeing the things are hallucinations. So we could have that. Maybe he gets more and more drug usey as time goes by.
Right, so wake up, eggnog straight away, and his mum's like, "What are you doing, Kevin?" And he's like, "No, you left me."
You don't know me. And maybe when he's having the beer, at the airport, he thinks he sees one of the criminals. That would be quite cool. He starts seeing them everywhere.
Or he keeps getting flashes of the old man, which actually then turn out to not be hallucinations at all. It turns out to actually be he's followed them. He's on the plane, he turns around and he sees the old man staring at him from 37B or whatever he sat in. Yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
I just like the final turnaround that you've never even thought about old man Marley throughout the whole film. It's like definitely the criminals, definitely whatever, and the last thing you see is him just smashing the life out of Kevin with his spade. And that's it.
That's so awful. I can't get on board with that. I honestly, can't do that to Kevin McAllister. You know?
I think it's brilliant.
I know a lot of people that would have wanted to. So.
The thing is though that there's not that many movies out there that end on such a horrific ending, because you don't get any reprieve. It's not like are we having bang smash to the head Finn? Are we having literally it's over, that's it, leave the cinema now? Or are we having
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, spade to the head, blood, the end?
Or maybe sort of like a post credit scene where we hear a beep 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 and he wakes up in bed with a bandage around his head and he tries to touch his head but he's actually handcuffed to the bed because he's been arrested for the murder of his whole family.
That's how the second, if they chose to go on, that's how the second one would open, isn't it? So if you black out, then
it would be like Lost in New Mexico or Lost in Cuba or somewhere
Guantanamo Bay.
That's Guantanamo Bay.
That's actually how you weave Die Hard in, isn't it? So he wakes up in the hospital bed and he's chained to it and he's like, damn, I've got to get out of here. And he sees IV, he hangs an IV bag and fills it with cement and it swings and cracks someone in the face and he's trying to get out of the hospital through the air vents and stuff. And
his escape out of the hospital. Oh
Yeah,
man,
that's
that's the
it.
second one, and he's in
Yeah,
some
that-
sort of backwater
The
hospital in the middle of
soundtrack
nowhere.
is all bastardized versions of the Home Alone soundtrack.
Yeah.
Enough to not infringe copyright, but also like really darkly twisted, so the strings are melting all the way through, and the choir is like ever so slightly out of tune with each other, so it's all discordant.
When Christmas rolls around, there is a Spotify playlist called Creepy Christmas, and it is like all of the Christmas songs with like lone, like deep notes, just like rising slowly
Oh my
throughout
God.
all of them.
Nice.
It's really creepy. When it gets to Christmas, check it out.
Well, another
not
question for Dan.
Yeah.
Are we so? And tell me to be quiet as well, because I really enjoy your pitch, and I think it's such a great idea. But could we open on sort of an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting?
Yeah, sure.
Or, he goes, "Hi, my name's Kevin," and everyone's like, "Oh, hey, Kevin," and he's standing up there going, "I've got to go on holiday with my parents," that sort of thing. So that's like the setup for the movie.
When
isn't
I
it?
was 12, or however old he was, when I was
Right.
12, my parents left me at an airport, and that's when I started drinking, and I was on my own. I drank the shaving fluid or whatever.
There we go,
when
exactly.
or something.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a great idea, Anthony. If
Downing
you're okay with
mouthwash. Yeah.
That's a great opening. That's so
And then
dark.
they left me again when I was
Yeah.
14, and
Yeah.
I drank all the mini bar.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
Oh my
and
God.
he's like, I don't know, flicking a 30-day sober chip in his pocket because he knows it's not true. He's one of those sort of like so deep and dark, and he just, he's got it
he
there for
should
show.
put it like at the gambling machines at the airport. He should just put it like on top of it and then walk away.
Or after he's had it.
He pays for his beer at the airport with it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leaves it on the bar, walks away,
That's-
moves his hand,
that's
and it's just
brilliant.
on the bar.
Yeah.
He's like, "Damn, I've got to go away with these guys as well." Starts running to the
I'm
gate.
doing it for Dad. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I hasn't seen them in so many years.
Yeah.
But I mean, we forget though. So like, we forget that his dad left him too. So he's obviously going to have some sort of resentment over him.
Absolutely, and I think that all comes out. And I think maybe the scenes in between all the deaths are like the family trying to come to terms, like a family therapy session, and then one of them gets like, I can't deal with this, I've got to go, and then they get murdered.
Right, yeah, exactly. And there's
So,
like,
you know what I
Kevin,
mean? I
you
can't
smashing the eggnog again? Come on, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Or he goes off to get a drink, or like to get out of there, and then he hears a scream, and there's someone dying. So, yeah,
Love it. I absolutely love it. And are we going to have the iconic Kevin McAllister face slap?
Oh, of course.
How and when?
Mum,
You need to give us that, Dan. We need to come up with that. It has to. When is that going to come into the movie?
Ryan looks like he's.
Well, I know I had one where the mum would be counting everyone on the plane, and then she's like, "Kevin," and he's already sat in his seat.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here.
But you could have it right at the end. So when he opens the door and he sees it's the old
Yes.
man.
Yes.
But are we going to go as far as breaking the fourth wall? Is he going to look directly into the camera and then slap his own face? Is he gonna...
Or do we open with that? So you're saying you're Alcoholics Anonymous. Is he sat like that at the beginning? So the first shot we see is him there, as it zooms in, so that it fades open just to his face. Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm an alcoholic.
Just to
Love
twist
it.
that image, to change
Yeah.
your idea of that image forever, and that's what it will do.
Oh my God. I can never watch a Home Alone film again.
So we've heard two wonderful and very, very different pitches for Merry Hell so far from Anthony and Dan. Before we jump into Ryan the Dupe's pitch, I just wanted to remind everyone that at the end of 24 episodes of our season, you will vote on the winning idea. Now, what will happen with that idea is it will be made into a trailer. So we're putting that on our YouTube channel. Let's be honest, we'll probably be acting in it as well. We'll all be cobbling together. We've all got experience in filmmaking, acting,
Sean, unless
Go on.
they get on the Patreon and sponsor us to be in. You get to one of the things is to be in.
So we
trailer,
would
right?
love nothing more than to have you guys, the audience, be in it instead of us. So if you jump on our Patreon, you can subscribe as low as a cup of coffee a month. And that just keeps us ticking over, and it keeps us being able to bring this content to you with the quality at which we're happy to bring to you. But spring for one of the higher tiers, and you can be in the trailer, exactly. So if you can't do that, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel anyway, which is where the podcast episodes go up. But that's also where we'll be putting the trailer and any little teasers. We put up the winners videos and the commiseration videos for the winners and losers of our heats. You can also jump on our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook page @Dupe, and we will do our best to chat to you. We're always on there, and we always want to hear whether you agree or disagree, basically with me, or if you have your own better ideas or worse ideas, because we love the bad ideas here at /Dupe. They're secretly my favourite. So yeah, jump on our socials and give us a shout, and we might give you a shout out in the episode. So Ryan, you're the dupe, and you've had a little bit of time to think about your idea for Merry Hell, and I'd be interested in seeing if you go for the Christmas theme as well, or if you have a different twist on it.
Thanks, Sean. So I have gone for the Christmas theme. So this is a really weird thing. I want this to be a documentary, and I'm going to forecast basically what happens in a documentary, but we all know a documentary isn't particularly forecasted, right? You know, it's not like a film. So Merry Hell will open like that real like high gloss documentary will open on like a slow-mo shot of doors opening at Black Friday in a huge department store, and people sprinting in, and then all these jump cuts of all these news reports of like, you know, millions of pounds are spent, all the stuff, like all these cuts. And what it will be, Merry Hell will be an expose of two different groups. One is a huge department store like a Liberty or something like that, where they are. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me just come back. Sorry. So open with the Black Friday, and then it will say 27 days till Christmas. If we're going by this calendar year, but it will be however many. And then it'll be split between the two of them, and it's basically between Black Friday and Christmas how this store ramps itself up for that. And the first thing, so you'll look at like a Liberty, like a department store, as I said, and you know the manager will be moaning because he's only getting $1 million this year for his budget for Christmas, rather than 1.5 or 2 or whatever. And that's one side of it. And then the other side is like a row of independent shops who can't put on all the ridiculous sales that the larger companies can for Black Friday and the ridiculous price points, because they've got to run the store themselves. So this like little arcade of shops decides to all band together, put a little bit of money in the kitty each, and try and put on like this sort of budget display to try and bring attraction to people to independent stores and spend independently. And it would just be the sort of the split and the tropes of those. You have. And I guess like the manager will almost be like this David Brent style, sort of like, like I said, who's moaning at getting $1 million instead of, $1.5 million, or somebody, there's like the marketing girl who's like, oh no, I hate that shade of red. No, go get me this and everything like that. And, they're trying to like, they're, getting, right, we need to book a celebrity to come along and like this, that, and the other. But then the local groups are like, okay, well, we know Steve down the road helps out with this, and they're all trying to like figure out how much money they can spare to sort of put on this display. And I think what I think will happen with it will be the small independent stores, and you'll have that countdown timer over 27 days, and it'll be like 25 days, whatever, 20 days, as it's getting closer and closer and closer to Christmas. And then when they finally put the display on like a few days before, what I think will happen is like the community one will be like everyone's having a really good time, everyone's happy, like smiling, like all this stuff. And then the big store where they do their thing, it's like completely vapid, like no one's paying attention to the particular shade of red that the woman picked out, that she spent days picking out, to get that exact tinsel. No one cares about the celebrity, they're just walking around. But the other one, the community feel. And I think what will happen, it'll be one of those things where after the documentaries come out, that arcade of shops will like get really busy. People will make a point to go to shop at these shops because they were in that they were in this documentary series, and they will, and it's to sort of try and drive people to spend more locally. The other night I was talking to our neighbours out the front, and one of our housemates sort of said, so what was South Norwood like where we live? What was that like, 20 years ago? And he was like, there was a shop, every shop you could possibly want, it was on the high street. He goes, now it's just not like that, because of Amazons, because of huge department stores, because of things like that. So yeah, that's my idea of Merry Hell, for a sort of a weird title for it, but obviously for some it's a good time, and for others it's not.
No, you've used the title in a really intriguing way, and I think as if it's a documentary, I think it's a good title for a documentary, and it's intriguing. It does draw people in, and they think, well, what's the connection? And I think you've taken the brief and you've used it really well.
I have to say, I was not expecting that,
especially from Ryan. Do you know what I mean?
It's a road trip in America, and someone's dead.
The go-tos.
Rehashing that old idea again. No, that's yeah.
It's true. I think there will be a lot of struggles with it. Like people will be like, I can't put that much money in like my business, and maybe one of the independent stores has to close down before it gets to Christmas because they just can't do it.
So one of the coolest. I just realised what I said, and I've got to follow through with that now. One of the coolest documentaries I watched recently was Cheer on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it, and it follows the story of a cheerleading squad in America, one of the top cheerleading squads, and how they go through training, through choosing their team, and going to the team in the end, which all seems pretty, I don't want to say vapid because cheerleading's a hard sport, but the idea.
It feels low stakes. If you told me about it, I'd be like, well, that's sort of stuff doesn't matter.
It is not low stakes. Every week is like gripping, and they've taken something that might not be interesting to many people outside of that circle and made it inherently really interesting because of the people. So they've really found the right people to focus on and to take their stories through. It's a lot of underdog stuff going on in there. But there's peril. Every week, someone really badly hurts himself, right? And you never know what's going on. And they don't cover it up. Like, someone gets tossed 15 foot in the air, and you just hear, bam, crying, and everyone going, oh, God! And, like, she's, like, put a shoulder out or something, or someone's back. And these kids are good kids. They just like not necessarily had the best start in life, and they're finding their way through. Anyway, go watch Cheer is what I'm saying. But also, that seems like what we'd have to sell in Merry Hell. I say we because obviously now it's our pitch. Is that you want to find the shop assistant that is there because her family are struggling and this is the only way she can get, and watching it shut down, and how she comes up with amazing ideas or does a new shop decoration that gets people in or sells things. And
I like the idea that each, you get a little bit of an expose of each of the shops in this arcade, in each of the episodes. They'd be like, well, yeah, this diner, my grandfather opened it, and they had the best eggs and ham, or whatever. And like, and you get to know that it's like it is the locals that go eat in this place. They know it, they love it, but they're not exactly going to. So how are they going to compete with the department store? So
speaking to that, say if you did have a diner and they were trying to make some more money, and then they started trying, put chairs outside I'm guessing there's like a little parking lot in front of this little strip of shops, and then the police come and try and shut it down because they haven't got the right permits, and then you have some sort of like an external struggle between the actual customers backing these shops up. And then, it just speaks a bit more to the community vibe of what you're talking about. I really like your idea. However, have you thought of a narrator? And if you haven't, I think Brian Blessed is available.
He's always available. Yeah.
I mean, your narrator would definitely be. It would be like I said, like this high gloss Netflix one. So when I watched in a similar vein to what you were mentioning, Dan. Last Chance U does a similar thing, and there's very little narration. It's more like you sometimes will hear the interviewers ask a question like very low, but you focus on those charismatic people, and I think that's where this will be. And it will be like something, you know, a woman who or a man who opens their own clothing store, and they're trying to get you know, how do they do the decorations? You know, like, are they, you know, how are they going to attract more people if they're just a roadside strip mall or they're an arcade of shops? You know, one of the things I loved in Amsterdam was just you turn a couple of streets and there'd just be like 5 or 6 little independent shops in between a whole bunch of houses, and then you just carry on, and like, you know, 10 streets later it's the same thing. How do all these guys do it? You know, and it was, yeah, it's as you said, Sean, it was something that it's actually something that I think about. I know a lot of people who specifically buy from independent stores and don't go shopping at Amazon and don't go to big places. You know, they support local, even to like, you know, going to your local butcher still rather than a Tesco's. And I think that's the sort of chords it will strike with people. You know, it will. That's the after effect of this docuseries. It's not just these particular strip malls. People will start going to them because it's like a trendy thing to do. It's an Instagrammable thing to do, but it will get people to think about, actually, I'm going to go to Sally Hands down the road and get her to make me a dress or something like that.
And the poster, have you thought about how it would be marketed to people?
That is a good... okay, so it would be split down the middle, and one side of it would be like the huge, sexy department store with like the front foyer entrance for the sexy department store, and then the other side would just be like the road with all of the shops along the side of it. Yeah,
and on the side of the department store, you have like department store mannequins on the outside trying to usher you in, and then on the side of the sort of the strip mall, as you said, you've got all the people in, and they're all laughing and they're sharing things, and it's like a community thing. Yeah, I like that.
I have to say, I do like. I think that's something that I would actually watch. I like to see how big business operates as well, because I'm guessing you would have. I know your primary focus is on the strip mall and, you know, the independent sellers and everyone who owns their own stores. However, you could maybe have one of those sort of panorama hidden camera going into the big store.
No, well, the big stores are part of it. The big store is like the other half of this documentary, where, as you said, you've got they get a celebrity in, you know, they try and get someone into, I mean, how many Christmas light switch-ons have you been? And there's been like,
very true,
you know, someone from A or like O-Town, you know, coming in and turning on your Christmas lights or whatever. But they're trying to do something like that. But, you know, they've got like all this money, but like nobody cares. Like nobody cares that they're performing in the middle or something like that. You know, no one cares that, you know, Jennifer spent 2 days trying to find, oh no, I need this particular tinsel, this length, this hue, you know, rather than like just getting something out the bargain bin, but making it into something that's really beautiful and pretty is the two different sides of things. And sort of that juxtaposition of like these huge stores that can do all these ridiculous sales, that have millions and millions on budget, and I think, you know, why I wanted to start it on Black Friday is because these sort of companies make loads of money on that weekend, but the independent stores might not. So that's where they're allocating their budget. That's the start point. Then both of them are like, well, based on our Black Friday sales, we can spare $1,000 or pounds or wherever this is set to contribute to the community event. But then the huge company goes, oh, what? I'm only getting $1 million instead of $1.5 million. Yeah, well, you know, corporate are really, you know, tugging at their purse strings this year.
Yeah, you riff off of Black Friday as a notion initially, where it came from, and now how it's been co-opted and what it stands for, and then you can have both parties be miffed at online sales, and there's a lot of potential in there, definitely, to cover a lot of topics, and
because we were very used to like. You know, back to school, Halloween, Christmas. And only in the last sort of 3 or 4 years has it now gone Halloween, Black Friday, then Christmas. Like now it's become such a huge thing, especially in the UK, that it gets its own separate month, basically, in between Halloween and Christmas.
All right, we've had three fantastic ideas now, all completely different from the title Merry Hell. But I've been told, but we all know now that Anthony has a couple of ideas up his sleeve. So I was wondering if you could regale us, Anthony. Has anyone touched upon any of your ideas so far?
Actually,
or are they
do you know what?
different?
Completely different to what everyone's been talking about.
Really?
So I'm quite happy about that. So this is where the punctuation comes in, and the punctuation is key. Mm-hmm. So the first idea is Merry, hell, right? So it's a place called Merry in hell.
Nice.
Right.
And now in this instance, hell is short for Helsinki. Okay. So it's a serial killer miniseries set in Helsinki, right? So it's about it's a procedural with like cops, you know, like it's a BBC 4 prime show, right? And it opens up with Merry, hell with one L, but then in blood the other L is written.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's great.
Something like that. The next one I'm quite happy about. It's also Merry, hell, but it's animated. It's an animated series, sort of in the same vein as a Big Mouth on Netflix or something like that. And it's about workers in hell trying to make it better and more comfortable for the people who live there.
Like an opposite Good Place.
Exactly. Do you know what? If you could see my screen right now, opposite Big Place is what I've got written down. So, and also I'm thinking sort of Bob's Burgers-esque animation.
Okay.
And you could also have where people try and remove them and get them up to heaven or into purgatory or that sort of thing. I had America Ferrera written down, Andy Samberg, Hannibal Buress, Ali Wong and Sam Rockwell, but Bill Burr as the devil. Because
yes, of course.
Love it.
I just think Bill Burr's got a very angry animated voice.
Yes, yeah.
This last one, I actually was toying with the idea of having as my main one, right?
Oh, okay.
So again, I love a comma. It's Merry, hell. And it's about a star quarterback called Hell Mary, right? who makes a deal with the devil for the best throwing arm in the game, right?
Yeah.
And as it progresses, the arm starts to become possessed, and he makes it all the way to the Super Bowl or whatever, and the arm accidentally, well, not accidentally, the arm throws the ball so hard that as the receiver catches it, he dies, essentially. So
amazing! You should have run with this one, man.
I know. I'm really now. I'm so.
Although
the
Brian
devil,
Blessed, come on, we're all good.
Yeah, I know.
The devil's Brian Blessed. Yeah.
The devil has to be played by Ray Liotta. I will have no questions.
Yeah.
And
Listen,
an old
we'll
Ray Liotta, not Goodfellas. We're talking saggy Ray Liotta right now.
Yes, of course.
And the quarterback has to be played by someone equally as trashy, like Emil Hirsch, Taylor Kitsch.
Yes, oh my God,
like
Emil
that.
Hirsch.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then
or even a career resurgence from
what about
Shia LaBeouf? You know, maybe because he's gone on the other side.
He'd be in.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know he was a quarterback in 22 Jump Street, but Kurt Russell's son, Wyatt Russell.
Yeah.
He's too good. He's too nice and he's too good. You need a real piece of shit. If I may.
You do.
If I may.
No, you do.
With great disrespect to all previous actors mentioned.
So I actually have written down Z movie VHS bin. So this is the kind of quality that we're going for, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, you have some sort of, face to face, the devil and Taylor Kitsch, Ray Liotta. They're standing on like the middle of the football pitch, and he's like, "I never asked for this. I just wanted, to be amazing." And he's like, "You got what you deserve," and all that. And then he takes a ball and he goes, "No more!" and he throws the ball at the devil, and the devil dies essentially.
Yeah.
And then his arm becomes non-possessed again. But at the end of the movie, he's sort of sat there, and his arm does like twitch. So he's like, does
his arm become heavenly once he throws the ball and it kills the devil? His arm becomes.
It's the devil's trick. He's not dead.
No, he just the possession breaks itself. And then I said 4, but I've actually got another one written here. So the last one is a mockumentary set in like the 70s or 80s about a glam rock band called Merry Hell.
Yeah.
And
it would be a glass. Of course it would.
Before you go any further, Merry Hell is a folk band.
No.
that endorse it.
No. Are you kidding?
They're a folk band that are based in Dorset, yeah.
Oh, well.
We would get them to play themselves then.
They've ruined my idea.
Well, no.
It would be their foray into metal from
they're sort of an English folk rock band. But you could do... doesn't need to be a mockumentary at this point then, does it? It could be a documentary on Merry Hell. And I reckon that will probably give you the mockumentary feel you want anyway, to be honest.
So those were my ideas, and I am slightly regretting not doing Hail Mary, the demonic quarterback, as my main one. Because I just think the name Hail Mary is just, you know...
Yeah. Wait, sorry, because Sean doesn't know sports. Sean, a Hail Mary is where you just... with no time left on the clock, you just throw the ball and hope to fuck someone catches it in the other end
I
of the
genuinely
field.
didn't realise that. Yeah,
right, okay.
Thanks for explaining.
It's even better.
That's added a dimension to it that I loved it anyway.
That's why I lost it when he said it. That's why I lost it.
I just thought, it's such a great play on word, and the cadence of actually saying Hail Mary fits, like Merry Hail Mary. That's
beautiful. That's a beautiful idea. My idea is very brief, and it's for Merry Hell, and it's a Lord of the Rings spin-off featuring Merry, the Hobbit, except that it was Tolkien channeling his World War sort of PTSD and making him take this sort of Johnny Get Your Gun, like this sort of acid trip, like through a hellscape as just a lone hobbit, and it would have been like released by the Tolkien estate before they realised the potential of maybe keeping some material back or siphoning it off, and it would be made by the same people that made Truckers. I don't know, like no one at home will have seen Truckers. They're animated Truckers that they did in the 90s. It's that trippy sort of claymation, almost like stop motion animation, and it would be this one shot film.
One thing with your middle idea, Anthony, for Merry Hell, like the animated one set in. Yeah. When I briefly read the Divine Comedy, I say briefly, I read about 12 pages.
When we lived together, it was on the toilet. It was on the toilet system, and it was a toilet read.
But there was one thing that really stuck with me on that is when in one of the circles of hell he goes to this area that's really like beautiful, and it's got people like Salahuddin in it, who in Western sort of beliefs we pictured him as an evil person, but to people in the Arabian area he was a liberator. So there's and a unifier. So that I found is quite interesting. Maybe some of the people that are either working there or they're helping they're trying to change the conception of what people think they're like.
Completely. So they could be walking around and then turn a corner and like Gandhi's there, and they're like, but why are you here? What's going on with you? That sort of thing. Or like Florence Nightingale is down there or something, and she stole something once when she was a kid, and that kind of, or she hit someone with a car by accident. But
there are different ideas of who should and shouldn't go to hell, right? So that's quite interesting. Yeah,
completely. But then it led me to think about that Daniel Radcliffe show that was is it called Good Deeds or something like that? It was an Amazon original. Kind of the same sort of thing where he's just like, I can't keep punishing people, and Steve Buscemi's in it as well, and it's just it got really highly praised, but I've never actually watched it. But
maybe it's worth checking out.
Maybe
before we greenlight your idea for Merry Hell. Yeah,
the demonic quarterback.
So anyone who's been listening, and I know you've all been listening, you've heard an idea for Merry Hell about Brian Blessed as the Santa Claus with his naughty list, who will, I don't even want to say it, what he does is he'll take naughty children, murder them with a hoe, perhaps with a hoe, and a ho, and he'll wrap them. I'll cut that pause out. I was trying to think of, I can't bring myself to say it. It's so perfectly amazing. He wraps them up as a present and delivers the naughty children back to their own parents. And then it becomes almost a kind of, it's a slasher film where the children have to then trap and prove to the adults that this horrific mythical clause has been hunting them. It's inspired by It and Stranger Things, but completely and utterly and amazingly twisted. We had Dan's Merry Hell, which was it feels like it was about 1 million years ago that I heard this pitch, because every pitch has been so different. I feel like I've watched all of these films over a week's period. We had Dan's direct sequel to the original Home Alones, but a follow-up from all of them, which, by the way, we didn't talk about whether we were even going to have the other Home Alone actors actually sort of come into it.
Everyone in it was in it.
But what about Home Alone 3? Are you going to have Scarlett Johansson come back because she was in Home Alone 3? Are you going to have the kid from Home Alone 3?
Probably from the very original. All of them make it all back. All his cousins and
so we have almost like what they did with like Days of Future Past or Superman, and they do this where they cut out these sequels and they'll just make a direct sequel to the original, the one that has the original fan base. But it's Macaulay Culkin coming back as Kevin McAllister, as an adult. The entire adult cast is there, but he is directing it, and this is in real life. This is his reconciliation of the Home Alone franchise and how it corrupted him, and how in fact he wants to kill the franchise and himself, his character, in order to deal with some of his issues. It was very dark. I wanted it to be dark. I felt, as Dan was pitching it, I felt like I wanted it to be serious and about something. So it lived up to that. And then we had a documentary idea from Ryan on Merry Hell, which was a very subdued idea from Ryan, but one very introspective, and one that dealt with the nature of faceless corporations and big conglomerates versus the little man, and we had the little person, and we had a documentary that dealt with the lead up to Black Friday and how a sort of community of shops and small businesses led up to that, and as an alternative to how a huge department store with a huge budget led up to that. And there within lies shopping versus online shopping, and other details about the nature of Black Friday, and perhaps even the education of where Black Friday actually came from.
It was about the lead up to Christmas from Black Friday.
Yes, it was about the lead up. I blame your pitch, not my ability to remember.
Brilliant.
Not my ability to misremember everybody's ideas every time I do this. Yes, the lead up from Black Friday to Christmas. So they're all completely different ideas. I'm gonna be very straight down the line here on this one, and I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna eliminate. I don't normally do this, but Ben Scriven at the first heat, he gave me this power. I never saw that you could do this, and I'm just going to go. It's Ryan, your idea is it's too hard to find, though. It lives and dies on that community, on the people. If you get people that aren't interesting, you've spent all of that money and all of that time, and you've not got a product at the end of it. It's not worth. It doesn't have that spark. It's so difficult to make it work. If you make it work, it's a wonderful niche idea. It's beautiful and has a reason to exist, but it's such on a knife edge as to whether it works or not.
Sean, I'm going to go finish the rest of those 2 kilos of dumplings I mentioned earlier.
I'm going to say this as well. Dan, your idea was beautiful. It was perfect. I hesitate to ask what the idea you had before you invented this one in the 3 minutes lead up. But the thing is, it's about a real person, and I don't know if we can, between the four of us, quantify his Home Alone experience for him, or tell him how he needs to deal with his issues. It's too good, and as Anthony said earlier on, it's absolutely something we want to watch. But I have to eliminate.
Macaulay, call me. We can discuss it.
It's too good. It's too good, and I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to eliminate Anthony's B-movie slasher idea, because the thing about that idea is it's too close to This Train Terminates. It's too high concept. It's if I was a studio head going, right, I would say we've already got one of these ideas. We've got one of these ideas. I don't think I can plumb for two. We have to diversify.
Brian will not be happy.
Brian, and he'll try and stalk me.
Yeah.
As much as I absolutely adore the idea, and I even adore the idea of this Home Alone crossover at the end, this sort of twisted Christmas, and it's such a fantastic idea for a Christmas film. I am going to instead, because as we established earlier on, there are no rules, I'm going to say that your pitch, your very brief, and this is the strength of a logline sometimes, or even a sort of elevator pitch. Your bargain bin VHS quarterback idea, Anthony,
it's great.
It just captured everybody immediately in just the short span. And I think the fact that you didn't get to, sometimes in these meetings they say, yeah, but what else do you have? And it sort of means that, like, we're not going to go with your previous idea, but we like you enough to maybe go with something else because we like you. So when you came at us with that idea, regardless of whether it was your backup or your potential first idea, it hit a chord in all of us.
Well, I thank you so much. I mean, I have to say I've really enjoyed this as a session. I think it's such a valuable thing. Even if people don't see it as that, I just think it's such a good creative atmosphere. And I've really enjoyed myself. And thank you so much, Sean, for having me and choosing me as the winner.
It's a real pleasure, and I hope people at home don't mind me messing up the rules, because it's not. It's about, like, finding something that connects and finding the sifting through the ideas, and if it means changing the rules to make the devil's quarterback, the devil's throwing arm, the winner, I'll change the rules, because it was a fantastic little pitch. And do you know what? I haven't really thought much about this, Anthony, but maybe there's as an atonement for getting your name wrong for the first half of this podcast and calling you Anthony. Maybe we can have you back at some point in some capacity. Maybe if people vote for, or if our adjudicator selects your idea of Merry Hell to go forward, maybe we can have you back to pitch us the full idea with the adjudicator to try and
I would
value.
love that. I would love that so much. Even if you just need someone to sit there and pass judgment on other people, I'm here for that as well.
There's enough of that already going around with us.
I could be the laughter track. I could just sit here and laugh. But no.
Oh, hang on, there's a throwback there.
To canned laughter, to our episode.
Yes,
tied up and chained until you have to laugh.
Just poking me in the ribs. Again, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys including me in this. It's been
a
really
real
good
pleasure.
evening.
A real pleasure. Thanks you.
Yeah,
and Anthony, you've got something coming up as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So me and a couple friends from our choir do a podcast about bad dating. It's called Is It Me? Right, where we ask the question, is it me or is it the person I'm dating? And we have a guest come on and tell us a bad story from their past, and we assess the story as a whole and try and pick it apart to really figure out who is the culpable person in this bad date. And more often than not, it's not you, it's it's the other person, because who wants to come on and tell a story where they make themselves look bad,
Hey, any of us would be more than happy to do that, I think.
Oh, well, that's good. You've had me on this, so I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's only fair that we embarrass ourselves somewhere as well, right?
Yeah, well, I hope I haven't embarrassed myself.
Yeah, that's not what I was implying.
Another backhanded comment.
And where can people listen to your podcast, Anthony?
So we're on Spotify at the moment. iTunes didn't let us on because it was a bit too vulgar for them.
Really?
Yeah, we had a bit of an issue with the name because it used to be called something else, which I don't think I'll say. But we changed the name, but then obviously all the coding in the background, blah blah. It just it turned out to be too much of a headache. But it's on Spotify. I'm sure. If you just type in "Is It Me Dating Podcast," include the question mark, you'll find us.
Wonderful. Thanks, Anthony. Ryan, have you listened to it, by the way?
I've given Anti's podcast a listen, and I'm really frightened because I don't want to go on and share all my embarrassing stories because I think it is me. But
Can confirm.
Absolutely. And Ryan, where can everybody at home find us if they want to get in contact with us, give us their ideas, or disagree with me?
We've got a Facebook group, a Twitter, and an Instagram. That's all at /Dupe. We've got a Reddit as well, and as Sean said earlier, we've got a YouTube channel.
And don't forget for all the podcasts to give us 5 stars, review, bump us up that list so that other people can see what a wonderful time Anthony had.
Yeah. My mum has actually asked for the link already, so
That's perfect.
Amazing.
Ask her to review it because
God.
because I would love to see an iTunes review from your mum.
Oh,
Absolutely adore it. Anything less than 5 stars, and that's an insult to you.
Right,
isn't it?
he's another backhanded,
Yeah, exactly.
all over the shop.
So yeah, we've had an absolute blast today, as always. So thank you, Anthony, for your myriad of ideas. And I don't want anyone at home to think they can just come on board with like 10 ideas and that's how they can win, because that's not fair. But Anthony, you were honest up front and you said, listen, I love them all equally. And so we're really happy to have you on board and to hear your interpretation of Merry Hell. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I've really loved it, every minute.
And Ryan and Dan, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Everyone stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Do you know what? If you ever have a gap again, hit me up, because this has been a great way to spend an evening.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
It really has. This is so much fun. I knew it would be fun because I've listened to some of the shows before, but I didn't realise how much I'd get into it and actually care about these films being made.
They become real when other people talk about them, right?
Completely. The fact that you guys liked my idea about the quarterback, it's just made me think I need to go to someone and get this made.
Recorded in the Capo Studios 2020. What's up, Danger?